Welcome to Unruly by Nature, Volume 4. And I'm here, as usual, with Kim from Raidho Canine, Rachel from Animal Matters, and me, Sue Mim, from Heart Connection Dogs. And today we're talking stuff again. We're going to bring in our oils that we've got, and we're going to see where the conversation goes. And I'm starting with a question like Rachel did last year. Last year.
Does it feel like, was it that long?
It feels like a year since we last chatted.
I love that. The one question Rachel asked was a year ago.
Can't remember it.
Well, here we go. So my question to you ladies, I actually got asked this question this week, and it was quite interesting because at first I sort of got a surface level answers for myself, and then I dug a little bit deeper. So it was quite interesting. So I'm passing it over to you. And the question is, starting with Kim, what is meaningful for you in working with dogs and people? So what do you find meaningful in that process when you are engaging with dogs and their people?
Wow, that's a question that just goes deep, isn't it? So I will think about it for 2 seconds. 1, 2. And I think for me, the first thing that comes to mind is the connection, like between all of us. So if a person comes to me with their dog or whatever for animal communication or whatever, there's an instant like tight connection between all three of us. So I know that when that conversation, if I'm talking to the dog, I'm also talking to the person. Like, you're extrapolating the energetic conversation in that way from everyone, and feeling the different energies from all the different clients that I've had over time is just provided growth points for me, and like more like remembering who I am. And I think they're all helping me to do that dig into myself. And it's just this beautiful, I just love the relationship that comes from it. And it's almost like the outcome of the answers to the questions don't matter to me nearly as much as just feeling that relationship. But then when you can feel someone it's almost like something clicks and they shift and they feel their dog in a different way. Dog, cat. I say dog because I work with a lot of dog people, but I mean, it's with any animal that you share your life with, even if, you have a critter that comes around your house all the time, it's still an energy that you're drawn to one another. So yeah, for me, I think it's that connection that's with the wordless connection.
Beautiful. I love that. What about you, Rachel?
It's interesting because I remember you asking that or sharing that post in the week, and it's not a word I would use naturally, meaningful. It hadn't,
exactly.
It's not, you know how we have our own language, don't we? There are words that we land on really naturally, and yeah, meaningful, full of meaning. Yeah, it's just not a word that I resonate with, but I'm going to go with what comes to me. And it's that, I feel like work or life is a magical mystery tour. You've probably heard me use the analogy of feeling like Alice in Wonderland at times. So what I love about working particularly with animals, people and animals together, is the not knowing what's going to happen. I actually really embrace that now. I really love learning about the dogs, about the people, about nature. I just love learning. I get an absolute buzz from learning stuff that I didn't, not everything. There are some things I've absolutely no interest in whatsoever. Like my dad will talk to me about historical events. Like he did it, we went on it. I'm going off on a tangent again. It started early. When I went back home, not so long ago, he said, let's do a quiz on the Crusades. And I was like, oh, Dad, no thanks. That's not meaningful to me. That's meaningful to him. So that's uniquely, beautifully him. But for me, what creates meaning is learning about animals and nature and people and what makes us click and what lights us up. And it's just fun. I find it fun. And I think that's important feedback for me. If it's not fun anymore, do I want to do it?
Mm. Mm.
And maybe that, yeah, I think that's enough. I was
Very
about to
good.
go on some more.
You were about to go off on a
I was.
tangent. We would have let you there.
I think I'll stay with the lemon because I think it keeps me more acute.
I like the word acute because it has the cute. What about you? What did you?
Yeah, so that's great. So yeah, it was interesting because like you, Rachel, meaningful is not a word I use often. But it was actually the word in that sentence that I was really drawn to because I don't usually use that language. And so it stood out for me and it was what was meaningful to me because most of my life, especially the reflections that I've looked at now, the last 20 years, I've been in service to others. So it was always, how could I be of value and of service to others, right? What could I do for them? And, the first things that would come, I love helping people and their dogs. I love to see people and their dogs understand each other, be happy. But then I went away from that because I thought, what is meaningful for me? It's not just the service, that what is meaningful for me. And it is in that engaging, like him said, it's that connection. It's that actual, when somebody phones you and says, I'm interested in whatever, I'm interested in your services. And you book an appointment with them. You don't know them. You don't know them from a bar of soap. You don't know their dogs. And you go to a complete stranger, and yet you can have what I've found and what's meaningful for me is to have almost a really deep relationship with the person and the dog in a very short space of time. You can go really deep. It's not like you meet somebody in a party and you talk superficial crap. You're talking to somebody who's really invested in their dog's well-being. And you very quickly can go pretty deep into conversation and get to know all sorts of things. And just the opening up, we've talked a lot about how the botanicals open up those conversations, but it's that going in with that curiosity and opening up conversations. And for me, that what brings me such joy is, like you say, is seeing those shifts, seeing that you literally see the shoulders of the person just sink because they suddenly feel that they can open up, they can share what's really worrying them or bothering them, or yeah. And it's just, to me, it's just such a beautiful thing, that connection that can happen between the animal and the person and myself, being a total stranger beforehand, and yet you can actually be really intimate. And yeah, that's what I love. I don't, like you said, there's other clients who don't want to go there at all. It's like, here, fix my dog, make it work. But that's not meaningful for me. And so that's why I realize now that those not the people, and there's a place for somebody else. There's a lovely trainer out there who wants to go and help them, but that's not meaningful for me. Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
We all love sniffing essential oils. Because I feel like when I smell an essential oil, I'm going from seeing the leaves of the tree to I'm diving deep down through the roots into where what do they call it? The mycelium, all of that, those deep into the earth, and then up connected to the cosmos. I just feel like as soon as I smell, and that's what lemon's doing to me, as soon as I smell an essential oil, it just wakes all of my senses.
Get out of my head. I'm like, I have Angelica root today. And the first thing when I open the bottle, I like Did you not? What I saw was like diving into the stalk of Angelica root, going into the ground, and then like shooting into the sky. And I mean, it's exactly. I had this movie playing in my head of exactly what you just said, and it's like they're so. It's almost like they free something in us that like I didn't even know wasn't free.
Mm.
It's like you don't even realize it we always just grab an oil. Like I just reach into my box and I pull an oil, and I pulled out Angelica root today. But I am the rebel because you guys both pulled the same oil.
Yeah, so that's really
You're
interesting.
always the
So like
rebel.
you said, we don't chat to each other beforehand and say, which oil. We just grab an oil and bring it on with us. And I too had chose lemon. And again, just taking the so the first I got when I said what oil should I choose today, just it was a thought that came through my head. And the first two oils that came to me were orange and lemon. And straight away my head comes in and says, well, what about orange and lemon? It's not even orange and lemon season. That's like more well, it is. It's a winter fruit, isn't it? And we're moving into that time. But to me, I associate the citrus fruits with more sort of uplifting and happiness and spring and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, I don't need that. I don't want that. So why? So our head comes in and tries to take over what is naturally there. And I thought, bugger that, I'm just going for the lemon anyway. And like you said, now smelling it, it's deep, it's rich, it literally goes into every cell of your being, just smelling it. And it's not the so-called by the book constituents that make it happy. And it's not that. For me right now, it's deep and it's rich. Is all, those are the words I can think of.
Mm.
So yeah, just learning to just go with what comes into your head and trusting that versus what the other part of the head comes to try, and the intellect comes to try and talk you out of.
That's the receiving bit, isn't it? So, and I think it's not a coincidence that this is our 4th episode. And before we jumped on the call, I went over to my box and I thought Angelica, but I don't like that one. So that thought came into my head, and then I grabbed orange and lemon, so it's quantum entanglement, when we start wearing the same clothes. I don't know, like, are we all merging a little
Not
bit
today.
more?
We're all very different.
Yeah, we are. Our energies are kind of, you find that, and I find that with dreams sometimes. I'll wake up and I'll have had a similar dream to my partner, and it can be way out there, like a way out there dream, but there'll be a similarity in the place that we go, or with the students on my course, there'll be similarities because, what is that?
Yeah, energetic entanglement, like you said. I mean, we knew we were going to be hopping on together. We're in that, we're already attuned to each other before we even get in, right? Before we even hop on.
So let's backtrack just a second. When you say, I don't like Angelica root.
Oh, that was harsh, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it's good. It's like how you felt in the moment. But what is it like that it brings about in?
Okay.
Specific?
I love that. I love that question.
I mean, because it's actually so rich in information.
Okay. And do you know what? I love that question, Kim, because I have just brushed it off like a fly, haven't I? I just dismissed it in a nanosecond. So for me, and I'm going to hear myself say all this, it's sticky. It's sticky. There's, I find it quite, I don't know what the actual word is, but cloy, like it hangs around a little bit too long, which is interesting. I'm like, am I doing an internal mirror exercise here?
Like the in-laws.
Yeah, I don't have any, but yeah. Sticky, hangs around too long. What else don't I like about it? Yeah, it's just not one. And I'm like, I need to sit with that. I need to sit with it and explore her some more. But yeah, fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah. we grew Angelica root on our property because I will tell you, it was not one that I resonated with.
Right.
And then we tried, like, apparently it kind of, Angelica, from everything I read from garden magazines and stuff. But of course, what do they know? They only know their experience. They said it was very hard to grow and it picks its place that it wants. We grew Angelica root. It probably got to be, 8 feet tall. How many
Wow.
meters? Can't tell you. But was at 2 plus, kind of close to 3. Way taller than me. And these beautiful bulbs of flowers. And I just fell in love with exactly that energy, right? This big stalk that was just feeding both the roots and the flower. And I kind of changed. And so I didn't, like, it's just to me, it's very free. So it's interesting how it feels opposite from you to me.
Yeah, and I love that because I've never seen the plant in person, not that I'm aware of. I've only connected with the aroma, with the chemicals of the essential oil, and that it okay, so it's going to bring me to a story. I'm going to share a story. Fennel seed, always hated fennel. And I remember going on this workshop. I can't remember the lady's name, but she's an aromatherapist in the UK. And the workshop was about energetics of essential oils. And I knew that she'd have a kit of about 200 essential oils because she's been working with them for 30, 40 years. She's a clinical aromatherapist. And I went to this workshop and I thought, oh, I hope she doesn't pick fennel out for me. I hate fennel. It would make me feel sick, the smell of it. Anyway, she gets out a pendulum, and I don't normally work with those, but we worked with a pendulum. We couldn't see the oils. And of course, what did the pendulum pick out? Fennel.
Fennel.
Perfect. So I then sit with fennel. And what came to me, and of course, there's layers. You could sit with it for days, weeks, months, and still get new information about yourself, about the plant, about everything. But at that moment, it made me feel sick and it reminded me of aniseed. And the first time I had aniseed, or it took me back to a memory of being dropped off at my friend's house for the first time for a sleepover. I don't know what age I was, but my mum wasn't there. And we had aniseed balls, and I remember throwing up. And I went to my mum's friend, my friend's mum, and said, I think I'm homesick. Can mum come and pick me up? So just smelling the oil, every time I'd say, oh, I don't like it, I wasn't accessing that emotion of separation from mum. So then I sat with that, with curiosity, as opposed to going, no, I hate it, it's horrible, grim, blah, 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 blah. And it's changed. It is different now. It is really different now. And I have it growing in my garden. I cook with it. I make soup with it. I can have this much deeper appreciation of fennel. And potentially, has that changed my relationship with my mum, with my dogs, with who knows what the ripples were of that. But yeah, that's my story.
Beautiful. What comes to me from that is it just shows you, again, going back to this curiosity about life and, who we're going to meet and what's going to happen next, etc. Is we don't often think about that, right? We're certainly not brought up to wander around life and say, oh, what does that leaf have for you over there? And what does that animal over there have for you? Do you know what I mean? And yet every being that we meet, energetic being that we meet, has some kind of information for us, whatever that is. And like you said, it's just at a certain time point in your life. I mean, how would you have known that at that time when you were a young girl and missing your mum, that particular scent would remind you years and years later when you were working with plants, with essential oils?
Yeah.
There seems to, I mean, when you think about the bigger picture and all the things that go on behind the scenes, let's call it, it's just remarkable. It's so magical. It is so, so magical when we approach it that way. that everything, every single thing, and it's not like it has a big lesson to teach us. It's just another, as you say, it's just another layer. It's another little piece. It's another little, yeah, something in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we can either take it on and get curious and then say thank you and, never think about it again, or it can become something else that leads us to the next thing. But it's really, that's the way, if we lived life like that, right? It would be pretty magical and serendipitous, wouldn't it?
Mm.
Serendipitous. I like that word. I love that story, Rachel, because it's so powerful that, just like Sue said, I mean, you have no idea that moment that you get sick on Annis, that you're missing your mom. I mean, it does it just feels like a minor incident from when you were a kid. But yet all these years later, when you're like dreading fennel, and of course you pick fennel because you were dreading it, you're thinking about it. That was what was in your
Don't pick fennel. Don't pick
the
fennel.
the pendulum is gonna be like, yeah, fennel, maybe, because it doesn't know like what you're actually thinking. It just feels the energy that you're in tune with fennel.
Yes.
But it's that curiosity to just say, wow, I mean, I need to sit with this, just like you said with Angelica, because it brought up this memory and allowed you to remember something deep about yourself. And, if I'm not a fan of the word healing, but you know what I mean? It's like it just uncovers this information for you and brings you forward into a place where you've connected almost like a soul part of yourself from when you were little that you just dismissed in that moment. Like now you've brought her home. And I get chills when I hear stories like that because they seem so unimportant and they're not. And I think that's the thing. Like we all have a million of those stories, but we have to be curious enough to just be like, I don't like Angelica, Rue.
That was so good.
I hope it's not going to be sticky all over your wall. I hope the lid was on.
But isn't there a timing to it, right? And I guess it's just to add on to that, it's not wrong that I did dismiss it up until that point because I wasn't ready for whatever reason. Because there's a whole timing thing at play, I think, too. And it was the perfect timing. That lady showing up and me meeting, and she was the connection to Kathy Skipper, which then took me on to New Mexico and to start to really learn how to journey with plants, which took me from zoopharmacognosy to animal communication, blah, 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 blah. So now this is my jam, is helping people journey with the plants to get more intuitive, to connect with their animals. But I wasn't ready till that point, I guess, was I?
No.
And it's like, when you go to take a fruit from the tree and you're pulling at it, but it's not quite ripe yet. It's as simple as that, really. It's just, there's yeah.
Yeah. Divine timing in the whole way.
So let's take that to animals now. So for instance, let's say, there's an animal in our life that is doing something that we say, oh, we don't like that. We don't like that behavior, or we don't like what they're doing. It's the same, right? It's the same as saying, dismiss this oil because I don't like it. It irritates me. I don't like the smell, whatever. So now an animal comes into our life and they do something that irritates us, or it doesn't feel nice, or we want it to go away, or it's a yucky feeling, or it's whatever. So it's the same thing, really. Now we label it as this dog has got a behavior problem, or it's got something that we need to fix.
Reactive.
Because, it's got a label. It's not something we like. So the curiosity is, how do I get rid of this and make it so I do like it, versus what information is this dog bringing to our relationship, to our whatever. And it's a hard one when you're in there, right? When you're in there and the dog is doing something that you don't like. But using that same principle is like, let's get curious about what this dog is bringing to me, to the party, to the relationship, to life in this moment. And exploring it from that perspective can give you completely different answers to then coming at as this is a behavior problem, or this is a problem that I don't like that I need to fix, or I want it to go away.
I think for me, the thing that just real quick that jumped in was how many times I've wanted to change something in one of our dogs and then realized that I just wanted to change something inside of me. There was, I mean, it became kind of this mirror, and it's like, because you get into that almost endless cycle of trying to fix your dog, and your dog's like, I'm not broken. No, I'm just being me. You know, and I mean, we happen to have 2 barkers in the house, and, you know, it's not quiet. And how many times you're just like in that mode where you're just like, oh my God, I just need it to be quiet. You know, I'm trying to write in my book or edit my book, and the dogs are just going nuts. And you're just, for once, can you just stop? And I was eating breakfast this morning, and Zori was watching her favorite show outside called Monk Vision. And it was, I mean, it was on a, oh my God, marathon. There's like a marathon of Monk Vision this morning. It was just constant. And I started looking at it with like, because part of me was like, I'm trying to get into a mindset and thinking about this and this recording. And I'm just like, you start to, and you're like, oh, she's helping me release the tension, right? And whether, and Sue, you used to teach about it all the time, right? That fear and excitement are the same thing. So like for me, I was very excited, but my body's just like on edge, and I started to realize it. So I mean, I tried to get a recording of her just enjoying the heck out of this show, because she's not doing anything. And if you let her outside, she's not going to chase the chipmunk. She doesn't even look for him. But it's when she's inside the house, he feels safe when she's inside. So he comes out and dances in front of her, and it's, you know, I mean, it's amazing. But I just realized how she helped me to release the tension, because I stopped trying to change her behavior, and I realized she's so happy. Like, how can you interrupt that? Like, she's freaking, like, every part of her is just having the most fun. And I think that, like, we got to go there next, because Rachel, you said that at the very beginning, that if it's not fun for you, you don't want to do it. So at what point do we stop our animals from having fun, and because we're afraid to have fun? Well, just leave it there.
Yeah. I'm thinking about with Darcy. She's a young, I don't even want to use the word energetic, because I don't even know what that means. But when she's outside, she's just full of life. And when she's inside, she's full of life. But it, you know, anyway, I had this idea in my head when I got her, because she's my first ever puppy. I've always had rescue dogs. So I wouldn't say I'm naturally a puppy person. I'm more an older dog person. But we got a puppy, and I thought, well, we live somewhere urban and everyone takes their dogs to the beach and into town and da da da. And because I've had her from a puppy, then if I do all the right things, then I'll have this dog that I can just walk along on the lead, and she's socialized, quote unquote. So I absolutely went through a period of thinking, how do I get her to stop like barking at dogs on the other side of the road? Or how do I get her to stop chasing bikes? You know? And then I caught myself. You're like, okay, there's other stuff going on here. And I won't go into all the details, but she just freaking loves to chase shit. So now we go to, and it so brings me back to my childhood now. And I live super urban, but 5 minutes from my urbanness is hills and sheep and just expansive space. So instead of going where everyone else goes, we go to this one field which leads into another field, and there's sheep and there's birds, and yes, there's cyclists and runners, but we can have space. And she can chase and like express and roll and do like, so if I'd stayed in there or want to fix her, I would not have been fulfilling what like her whole purpose is here is to have fun and express who she is. So, but it took me a while to get to that because I'd bought into what this, what a dog should look like, what a puppy should look like, what an English point, all of those labels and those expectations. And that's what was creating all the stress and tension. So I think the whole like trying to fix my dog, it implies that they're broken. But she's not broken. She's just working her way through this life with me and expressing herself. Some bits I like, some bits I don't like. But like you said, Kim, the bits that I don't like, that's my projection of what, someone else may love it. But it's for me. So there was a period where I was feeling, I feel like she wants to have more dog friends. But that was me. That was me wanting to have more of a social network and have more connections with people that I vibe with. Yes, there would have been part of her that she does have, her social group. But yeah, I think the whole fixing implies the biggest thing is that we think the dog is doing something wrong. It's like, we've got a headache. Well, if I only take a pill to get rid of the headache, fine. There's nothing wrong with that because it gives me relief. But maybe I've got a headache because I'm, sat in front of a screen for hours and I need to be out in nature, or I'm trying not to think of the thing that's triggering me, or I'm dehydrated, or there's so many other things we can explore underneath it when we don't try and fix. We're empathetic to what the information is, what the feedback is. Yeah. So the fix it feels, it's not a word that I use anymore. I don't resonate with it anymore. I understand. Like I honestly understand why people seek it, because they don't have that awareness yet that their dog isn't malfunctioning. They are just, I think we used this analogy in the animal reflections course that we did with Dennis. We talked about if you were an alien coming down to planet Earth and you saw a caterpillar go from being a caterpillar into the chrysalis stage, and you just looked at it in the chrysalis stage, you'd have thought, like, what the hell's gone wrong? Like, it's messed up. I need to fix it. But of course, we know that's just part of the process of its growth. And then it becomes the butterfly. So it's not that the chrysalis stage is wrong or bad or messy or it needs fixing. It's just we haven't got all the information yet. And I'm getting to know Darcy still. So I feel that's what the process is. That's what maybe my meaning is to, get to know my dog and help other people get to know their dogs. And through that, we find out who we are. That's the fun bit. Not always fun. Sometimes it's really icky, but it's icky like Angelica root.
I can't get my wrists apart.
I feel, yeah.
Yeah. I love that, Rachel. And I got the strangest analogy when you were saying that. I don't know if you know those, it's a toy, whether it's a dog toy or a human toy, I don't know, but it's like a squishy ball. It's got two layers. So inside is it's got some kind of liquid, and then so when you push it here, it pops out like a little bubble on this side, and then do you know what I mean? So it's like a balloon inside a rubber toy. I don't know if do you know what I'm talking about?
Where do I get?
And when you squish it, sometimes it pops out as little bubbles or whatever. Okay. And if you push your finger in this side, then it pops out a bubble on the other side. And that's I don't know why, but that's the analogy that I got in my head was this image of this ball. And we try and fix this side here, and then it pops out there. So it's when we try and fix our dogs, all we're doing is like prodding at them, like don't do this, don't do it. It's like we're trying to put our fingers in holes to block that energy coming out there, but it's going to pop out somewhere else because that is a being. It needs to express, it needs to evolve, it needs to grow, it needs to experience. And so if we block all these holes, then it's going to pop out in other holes, which is often what happens, right?
Mm-hmm.
We try and stop one behavior from happening, and then suddenly another one pops up somewhere else. So it's a continuous, the more we try and put our fingers in the holes to block them, I think the more, the harder this animal is going to try to find other ways to express itself or be itself or learn or grow or evolve, because that's what it's got to do, just like us, right? It's got to evolve. Or alternatively, of course, it can completely shut down and say, that's it, no, I'm not going to try anymore, which
Yeah.
is very
And then
sad.
and that's when it expresses through the body in other ways, right?
Correct. Then often that's when you get, a sick, depressed dog. Yeah.
I'm just drifting off into my bottle of lemon essential oil now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's such an important topic, and I recently I had an acquaintance. They rescued a dog, and it was kind of a spur of the moment, unplanned thing. And they knew that the dog had I believe it was probably, and I wasn't involved other than like kind of helping soften it maybe a little bit. But the dog had killed a cat in its previous home, and it got rehomed with someone, and then that person got ill. And so it was like this rehoming to rehoming to rehoming thing. And it ended up with these people, and they had 2 cats. Within the first 3 days, I think this dog picks up the cat. Now we know there could be a million reasons for that. Maybe it actually was hunting the cat. Maybe it was the fast movement. There's a myriad of things. But she would, the person, I reached out to her because I just saw the pain that was there of like, oh my God, what have we done? Blaming herself. And I reached out, and this dog ended up going to a rescue where it really hadn't been, and then finding a forever home. But sometimes that journey that we can have, it feels so wrong. But what I wanted this person to understand was that she was the stair step this dog needed to find its forever home.
Yeah.
And without her house, who knows what would have happened.
Yeah.
And sometimes it hurts so bad because it doesn't fall to the expectation and the outcome that we had in our mind. This was a beautiful dog. It settled into their house perfectly in 3 days, which I have never heard of, but I don't know if I didn't do a communication, so I have no idea if it was visual with the cat movement or the late at night movement, right? I mean, I don't know like anything. And if he could have learned to live in a cat house, or maybe just needed some time, I have no idea. But all I do know for sure is that as hard as that moment was for these people, they were necessary in this dog finding its forever home. And it ended up just being so beautiful, and how we're so held. And she's going to learn a lot about her household from that too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it ended up, to me, it was like a beautiful story and not a failure of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
It was the opposite.
Mm-hmm. And that's why hindsight's so great, isn't it? But can we bring the hindsight into the present?
Oof.
Oh, that'd be juicy, wouldn't it? Because that's all it is we haven't got the full picture. We haven't got all the information. Like, I'm going to use an analogy, and my girlfriend is my muse. We were walking along the beach. She loves being my muse. We're walking along the beach, and I tell myself, and we saw a car parked on the pavement, and she was not pleased about this. She was like, how inconsiderate. Look how ridiculous parking your car on the pavement. You know, people, there's children and dogs and people having to, you know, move around it. And when we got 2 seconds later, and so she was quite annoyed. 2 seconds later, we got to the front of the car and it had a paramedic sign on the front. So she went from being like really annoyed to be like, oh, I understand they're here because there's an emergency. And this is the bit, like one bit she learned from that situation, and her whole energy changed from being mad at something to like, oh, I get it. And I think that's with our dogs. Just sometimes that little bit of extra information, oh, you just feel such relief and understanding and empathy, and everything changes. And then all the tension goes from the relationship, and then suddenly their behavior can change because they're not carrying all that stress. So that's why the curious mindset, Alice in Wonderland, like I wonder if I not advocating taking pills, but you know, if I sniff this oil or eat this bit of cake, will I get bigger or smaller, and who will I meet and what will I learn? But it's not to bypass that in that moment she was annoyed. Like maybe she needed to not have the full picture so she could access her underlying irritation that's been there for however long. But it's to know that there's just so much else going on that we're not aware of. Like so much else. I've got an image of, I don't know if you did this at school. I love that we're all from different places, but at primary school, we used to have to colour in a piece of paper with like all lots of different colours, and then we cover it in charcoal, and then we'd use like a scratchy thing to draw something, and it revealed all the, I don't know, that's the image that comes to me. Just this richness, this colour, this depth that's underneath when we just scratch beneath the surface a little bit. But we're so quick to go, oh, well, it shouldn't be like that. Or,
oh, well, I don't like Angelica.
I don't like Angelica roots. I'm going to plant the shit out of that plant in my garden. It's going to be throwing out seeds everywhere. I love this conversation. It's making me hungry. Is that the Angelica? It's so true though, isn't it? I love how we go back to the beginning.
That was such a simple yet profound story about the paramedic car. We just snap to a judgment. And sometimes it's obvious and we're like, oh. Oops. But sometimes it's just not that obvious.
Yeah, true.
And, you know, so it's just really remembering to be curious. Even like, because even if
curious.
Yeah. Because but I mean, sometimes like just stuff happens, right? Like she got annoyed. And so it's just, you might not in that second notice it. But then, you know, so it kind of always is a weird, I'm not good enough yet to notice when something annoys me. Like clearly I needed to release some annoyance and be pissed at something or whatever. And then like you think about it later, kind of like your story with fennel. You know, I mean, it might bring something back, but in the moment, like it just happens, you know? So
yeah. And it sort of doesn't matter ultimately, does it? You know, when we get back to the basics of it's just about expression, it's energy expressing itself. I watched Darcy this morning. I took her out for just a little meander down the road. It was a tiny, tiny, tiny walk for a pee and a poo. And so much happened in that tiny walk, from having people walking behind us. And she was like, oh, was that on alert? You know, her whole body was like, oh, I don't know these people. And then we go in the woods and then there's a squirrel. And then she wants to chase the squirrel and then a feather lands on her nose, and just so many different things happening. And they're not analyzing whether it's like anger or sadness, or they're just experiencing it, aren't they? But it's taken me a long time to get to this place. It's taken me a lot of dogs and a lot of self-awareness, etc., to get to the place of being like, okay, I'm going to be with her and be present and watch and observe her in her body and I'm in my body. It's still like a work in progress of me being embodied with all of the different experiences that come with having a dog. But it is freeing.
Mm.
I find it freeing being more embodied and not chasing the why and the answer so much. Yeah, I like that when I get that. Ooh, the connections and I get an insight into something. That's great fun. But actually, the best bit is being embodied.
Mm.
We're not here for that long, are we?
Mm. Yeah, that's exactly. I love that you brought that in, Rachel, because that's where I was going with this conversation. Is that in my head, it was like, getting curious and asking questions, but we can get really radical about that, right? And we want to know all the answers, and we want all the information. We keep going digging, 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 digging for all the answers and all the information, and it's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. We cannot know everything. We're not supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, like you said, really just, it's like you said, it's a work in progress, learning to be embodied in the present moment and just experiencing your life moment by moment as it arrives. We're just not, we're so conditioned to live in the past or worry about the future or analyze whatever's going on versus just being, And it's easier said than done, right? But it's, like you said, when you're in that moment and you are literally embodied and you're watching your animal do what they do, there's nothing more natural because life just takes care of itself, right? Life just does life. We don't have to preempt it. We don't have to set it all up.
Mm-mm.
It just happens. We just need to get out of the way more often.
That's really important. I mean, what you just said there, both of you, about embodying it, because nature doesn't ask permission. But like we try to, I mean, I think sometimes we try to deny something, like say, I'm not frustrated. I'm not frustrated. I'm not, and I mean, Rachel, you said it, our dogs just like, they are expressing themselves in their full honesty. And if our honesty is to have a full response back, great. But we feel the guilt and the shame of it later. Like, oh, I shouldn't have yelled at them, or, I mean, sometimes like Zori gets up in the morning and like, she doesn't know like a talk. She's always yelling. And I'm like still half asleep wandering downstairs and she's, and I'm like, oh, and now it's just like, I just start barking too. It's like morning calisthenics or something.
It's like boot camp.
She's like the overexcited aerobics instructor.
Yeah, that's what I see.
But like when you start to embody that, you realize that she's just helping you in that way. But sometimes we deny ourselves. Like I say, I'm not angry. I'm not frustrated. I mean, I hear Jim say that sometimes, but that they're like, it's just, he's trying to convince himself of stuff. So
bullshit.
But Kim, I'm going to pull that because I remember this happened to me just a couple of days ago. Charlie comes and wakes me up. You've heard the story, licks my feet and wakes me up on the dot. And I got out of bed and I was stretching and I need time. I need time before my feet hit the thing and I can yawn and stretch and do whatever. And I just had this little face staring at me. And all I could get from him was like, why does it take you so long to move? Because he just jumps up, he's on all fours and he's ready to go. It doesn't matter, even if he's from a dead sleep, that's what he had. And I could just see the cogs turning like, why does it take you humans so long to get up and move?
That's so funny. That reminds me.
And so I just started telling her, I said, this is who I am. And it does take me time. And I love you to be, please be patient with me. 'Cause I need this. And that little eyes, which is like, that look, so sweet, like trying to interpret. Oh, like, breakfast, up, let's go.
On dog time.
Mm.
That's brilliant. That reminds me of my friend's kid I went to visit recently, and she is a ball of energy. She's only 8. She's physical, she's excited, she's playful, she's creative, and we ended up playing, I think it was Connect 4, and she's used to playing with her brother, and they're really quick. And I like to, I would say I'm naturally a slower person. That just is my nature, I feel. And so she's like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And the more she's hurrying, of course, the slower I'm getting. Number 1, to poke the bear. But number 2, because I'm like, if you're hurrying me, now I feel I need to slow down even more. And she's like, and her whole face is scrunching up. She's like, why do you take so long? And I was like, the longer you push me, the lower I'm going to get. And it was so funny because and I love her. And we just have this real connection. We are chalk and cheese. But it's just like that, isn't it, with dogs? But my dog is actually quite sedate. So she wakes up with her. She's very, she loves a lion. But I've had the dog that's like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Wind up merchants.
They do that to us, right? The dogs. I mean, they get us to the point where we're just scrunching our little face up.
Why did you go?
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Oh, ladies, I
Feels
think this has
good.
been a great chat. I think we're going to wrap it there. Leave it on that fun note. Go off, everyone, and go and have a good laugh with your dogs. Go and see them for who they are. And just, stop worrying about the future and the past and what it can and can't be, and just go and have fun and love your dogs. What do you say, girls?
Gorgeous.
Yes. Mic drop.
Thank you, ladies.
All right,
That was
ladies.
awesome. I'm going to go retrieve my Angelica root.
Oh, I'm going to go and order some. Order some plants.
You don't even have it?
No, I do have it. I meant some plants, some actual ones.
There we go. Oh, there we go.
Not the season for growing them, though. They're coming to the
No.
end now.
Well, it's probably perfect for me then. Put them in the ground.
They're 2 years. Like they bloom. They stay for 2 years. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, ladies. Have a wonderful one. We will
Bye.
see you in next episode 5. See you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.